Hey everybody, this is Pete from Paw Labs, and I've spent my day today half working on the war game and half actually trying to finish off and build out the install for the Auto It uh, GUI project, the automation. I almost got that done, and then I got tired of that, so I started working on this again. So what I want to show you tonight is just kind of an incremental maneuver. I've done a lot of research today and looking up old code and old design sheets and thinking on this. And so I've come up with a set of types. These are static lists or types of player colors can be black, blue, green, gray, what have you. Unit styles are going to be classic or they're going to be facing. So unit facing is either right or left, and it's null and void if you went classic. And then element types, I've put a lot more element types in here than we're actually going to use in our game. So I'm building it such that somebody's going to pick it up on their own and try to finish it out on their own. Or I don't know, maybe I will. But that would end up being a whole separate creature, but I'll pick it up from this. So then we have unit types, and we have unit types. They're either a land unit or a sea unit. Easy way to identify a binary that it can't go in the water, it has to stay on land. And then you have air units, headquarters, they're special units, naval headquarter, and supply units. So we're going to have supply. I got to thinking about that. So we're going to need supply units and the ability to build supply units. So these are the types. And actually, I've gone ahead and in Class Builder, I can build types or I can build classes. And I'm going to do all the class building and code building once I actually start rolling with this, probably tomorrow sometime. Um, so I went ahead and filled out the forms. So we have our colors of black, blue, green, gray, orange, red, brown, and yellow, and we have the element types that are listed. I debated on, I may end up adding bombers and fighters and dive bombers, but we'll see. I did go all the way down to carriers and got all your submarines and destroyers and cruisers and trucks. So facing is a simple binary. I pondered using, I have a binary custom control, which is a cool little floating bar thing, but I think I'm going to stay out of that and just go with right and left. So unit styles are either classic or facing. And then I debated on fancy and a few other things, but I think facing encompasses it all. And then the unit types. So uh, these are just static lists. These are going to be all combo boxes or something to that effect. But they're all built. I haven't done any of the code yet. And then I decided I'd come out here and take a look, see at what we're doing with the game overall design. And I made a few decisions here that we're going to add a game era combo box. And this is going to be a configurable screen. Let me jump over and we'll open up the game, the era. Okay, so we have a game era. Um, oh, yeah, go ahead and save that. Goodness. Okay, so you're going to have a game era, which is going to be an era name, and then you get to pick your nationality. So the concept here is your game era may be the American Civil War, so your nationalities would be the Confederacy or the Federal Army of the North. So if you had World War I, you may have Britain and France, Belgium, Germany, Turkey, all the empires of World War One, Russia, and all of that are possible to create nationalities for. World War Two, you can create nationalities. And really, this is when you create your game, you pick an era, then the era gives you the nationalities that you can build units for. So that's the concept of how that's going to work. Let's see. Let's go back to our game because I want to push that out too. So let's go back to game details. And so you go to create a game. I've made the command decision here that this RTF will not have any menu items. The only thing you can do with this RTF are the buttons up here. I figured that's probably plenty. You don't need to go crazy with it. So I'm actually going to put a menu on this that will let you create game eras and nationalities. And so this screen right here will have menu structure on it such that you can build a lot of this. Game type is going to, oh, I forgot to put that over here. Hold on. We'll do that real quick. So we've got a game type, right? So that's going to be campaign or single map. Then we have your max turns. 0 is unlimited. And then we have player 1, player 2. And then so you've selected your era here. So maybe we'll put a ... button there to jump straight to the era screens to be able to create eras to come back. That's probably a good idea, actually. And then you select the nationalities for your 2 players. You may want to have more. I don't know. This probably it should end up being creating allied and allies and axis kind of concept, and then you'd have multiple nationalities, and you would have multiple army and multiple colors under the control of one or the other player. But that's out of scope for our game. So you pick a nationality, you get to pick the color that you want your nationality to be. The style, remember that's the either traditional or it's facing, and if you choose facing, then you have to choose right or left. So you're going to save this. More of the background construction that we're going to be undertaking here is going to include where is military types, and the military type table is actually going to be tied heavily to the element type table. And that's not really a table, by the way. Element type is going to be this list of possible, this is our hardcore list of the physical name of the type of unit. And then your unit type is actually going to be land or what have you. That's probably going to be already linked in. And then you have production cost and point value for when they're killed. What is the movement for this type of unit? What is his ranged attack, if any? Zone of controlled attack means whoever they're adjacent to. So like artillery will have a ranged attack, but they'll also have a zone of control attack. What is their defense, which is in our game is going to be specifically linked really to the zone of control. Is it infantry? Is it pullable? Can carry infantry, can pull equipment, and then how many? Are all expansion for your use or for whoever's going to, you choose you want to expand this thing out. This is where you would put that in here. Say you had trucks, and trucks can carry infantry, and yes, they can pull units. Is it pullable? Artillery is pullable. That sort of thing. So you have a an underlying layer of identification of all of these things so you know what to do in the game. So tying this, which is kind of a standalone sort of underlying overall structure. Infantry is infantry is infantry is infantry. It doesn't matter if you're talking Minutemen, World War One doughboys, the Kaiser's army infantry, Hitler's army, Russian Italians. It doesn't matter the the nationality aspect of it, or the era aspect of it. It's infantry. So in your code, you're going to deal with infantry. You're going to look to see that this Highlander regiment is what is it's infantry. It's not tanks. It's not cavalry. It's not whatever it is. It ties back here. So there's a table that's going to sit in bridging in between nationality and this core table that actually handles. And I don't like the name of this table at the moment, and it's national units. So this is where you can come in and say, we have British World War One troops. We have, Nazi troops. We have Russian troops and all of this. And you can name them accordingly. You can come in here and choose your left and right picture. These are all set to the 128 by 128 standard. I think I've moved away from using the um, sprite sheet for the units themselves because that doesn't change. I think I'm going to just use the sprite sheets for movement and attack and defense. But the unit pictures, that's fine. They can all load in here. We're going to have or this is the images actually. We do have a picture concept that goes with, and that may or may not live and be there forever, but it might. I really liked it when I had it originally. I don't know if we're going to keep it or not. So I have the pictures that all flow into here for a great many um, uh, nationality type units. Got Irish, the guys in the kilts, and the Scots, and all the different regiments. I've got images of Napoleonic, Civil War, Confederate, Federal, World War One, World War Two, all kinds of stuff like that. So done some searches on a bunch of the old archives and stuff. Actually, even went through movies and did stop action and captured screens and stuff off of movies to clip certain pieces of tanks and whatnot. So I've got a bunch of pictures to go in there. Whether I end up using them in the final game, I'm not sure. So that's all the background stuff that has to get built before we get to the game. So these are selections as you're building your game. You're choosing what you're picking out, what you're choosing to put into your particular game. And then we get to the map itself, which I think, what did I call that? Game map? No. Main. Well, I don't think it's import map. That's the importing of the output of map maker. So that's kind of where I ended that particular thread. At least I did in my head about creator. Yes. So this is the actual real work screen. So here I've got a bunch of this filled in. I'm still debating whether I want to put this in, and I think I end up will be doing it. Is put these two controls, the list area and the panel box, into a splitter. So when you're messing with the left-hand side, you can scroll it over and then you can scroll it back when you're messing with the map. So Here's where you're actually going to come in, and we're going to, well, when this launches, I think I mentioned it in a previous video, you're going to be able to come in, and if we don't have a map attached to the game, you got to go load one from MapMaker. So MapMaker, if you haven't looked at the videos on that, MapMaker puts out a whole bunch of data on the map that you created. The big important stuff is the physical map itself and the grid. Those are the two real uber oh my god stuffs. The the sprite sheet of the map is pretty important as well. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to use it yet. When I get there, I'll figure it out. And then the other most important thing I intend to use out of that program is the monster JSON file that is the actual map. It actually drills down to each row and column and tells me what graphics you have in each row and column. And if you have a road, it tells me that it goes from north to south or southwest to northeast, or how does that road go from one side to the other. That way, when I move a unit, I know he's on the road because the square he's on is a road and he's moving northeast and that road goes northeast. So he's still on the road to go to the next hex. So that is how it works backwards into this terrain rules, because what we're going to do is list all the distinct hexes that exist in the map is going to end up over here from a standpoint of its trees, its open ground. Open ground doesn't matter. So if it's just grass, we don't care. If it's roads, if it's trees, if it's mountains, if it's rough terrain, those are the only ones pretty much. If it's a swamp, there's a handful of the categories. And that's the other thing the JSON file tells me is what categories are there. So what we're going to do is list in this data grid here, we're going to list the categories of the map elements that are graphics that are in the hexes here. And then you can actually say, okay, for this rough terrain or woods, tanks have a penalty of this, or artillery can't cross rivers. Well, I know what river edge is blocked on the hex, so I will be able to make those decisions in the game. So that's the idea of the rules. Units is going to be simply, I'm adding a unit, and like in the map maker, your cursor is going to change. You'll come over here and just left click a hex, and then you'll know what hex by the columns and rows and what your cursor's at. Here, you'll be able to select the hex. A screen will pop up and you'll fill out the unit of how many men are in the unit, how many tanks are in the unit, that sort of thing. For what player, you'll choose what player. I haven't built that screen yet, but that's probably one of the next ones going. I was kind of wanting to get to where this screen is called and I can go begin the work to absorb the map maker data. So that's going to be a large segment. But before I can get there, I have to take all of these screens. So this is what I said in the very first one, that I'm a very visual software developer. I build my screens first. Now I know what fields exist on what screens, and that tells me I can see the screen and I know what tables this is going to affect. I can come back here, and what I'll end up doing is taking these tables in turn, these screens in turn, and come over here to Class Builder, and I'll be building classes and database tables to go with those. and Class Builder will handle my lists and stuff. And then we'll come in and swap stuff out to be data grids instead of list icons and stuff like that. We'll make it real cutesy. So the next video I'm planning on, this one's just about done. The next video I'm planning on is actually going to be doing that work. And once I get a video on how do you go about building these tables and how do you import the code, bring it into the project, link it up, that sort of stuff. I give you a good video on that, then I can be off to go do some of my other stuff that I got to do. And I don't need to re-show that. Once I've shown it to you 3 or 4 times, I build the tables that support all of these screens. I don't need to keep showing you how to do what I've already shown you how to do. So you can then get a grasp for the feel of the developing with using Class Builder in a real life situation, and you'll see how all the work that it does for you. But that'll be, I believe, probably the very next video I do. And then after that, we're probably going to do a JSON video to show how to bring that JSON file in and for you to understand what JSON is and how does it tie back to objects in PureBasic. And it's really slick. So, I mean, there's a few caveats you got to be concerned with, but images being the biggest one. But I took care of that in MapMaker because I gave you the images as sprite sheets. And then in the JSON file, I gave you the index of the sprite. So now you have it tied together. You're good to go. So that pretty much concludes this video on the step. The next one will be heavily building database tables. And I think I've got our construction well in hand and well underway. So thank you all for your time, and I'll see y'all later.